have a 3D prototype, whether it's printed or whatever, and then try to see if they can generate through their detail reps or what have you, whether or not there's interest in the marketplace. Well, give me some ideas about how all that works.
Some of them are sophisticated and have that level of understanding, and there are some of them that do not have. They just it. In the case of a particular individual or a doctor, they're just going to they've identified a need and they see a means of filling it. And
Mm-hmm.
so they're fairly confident just based on their own. But again, that's why those things require a good deal of vetting.
But we've always
Right.
made a 3D prototype of anything.
Oh yeah,
3D printed prototype
that's
anything we've ever produced. That's what started.
that's part of the process, absolutely. But in terms of, if you're talking about like market acceptability and a real understanding of market
Yep.
acceptability,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we have some customers that are very sophisticated about that and are very targeted. And then we have others that we really have to kind of help them along and ask the hard questions.
Sure.
Um,
And your analysis up front with somebody, whether or not you want to engage with them with a specific product, is based on what criteria?
Say, trying to decide if that product is really good for the market, or is it just very niche market that the guy's overly excited about?
yeah,
And then we look at the individual too.
yeah,
Does
exactly.
the
What about
individual have
capital?
the capability of marketing something to that level? Or is he
Mm-hmm.
just a doctor that sat around for years thinking about this thing and decided one day to pull the trigger and do it? Yeah, you have to be real careful with that.
Yeah,
And
I will. I've got my own experience that I fall back on, and then if it's outside the realm of something that is within my experience, I've been in the medical industry long enough that I can reach out to other resources that I have. I've got good friends in the distribution realm, and I can say, hey, what do you think about this concept with this fly? So I can do a bit of vetting on my own as well, and talking to other people out in the industry. But I mean, some of the other things that we're looking at as you do that is this person adequately funded? Do
Right.
they really understand what they're getting themselves into?
That's the biggest. That's one of the biggest things up front.
Did they have the personality to kind of take this thing through
Well,
to closure as
And,
well?
yeah.
And how much of an understanding do they have of the regulatory environment? Because a lot of them will have an understanding on the product side, but don't have a lot of understanding on the regulatory side in terms of what it's going to cost.
so what does it cost? What is it? What it would be? Minimal funding required.
Depends on the device.
Yeah, if they've got to go
Of
get a
course.
510K registration and it's sterilized, between those two items, it could be $300,000.
Yeah, it's in the $250,000 to $300,000 range
Okay.
just to get things, to even start to think and to get things moving, because there's a lot of testing. The reason
And
that it does depend on the device is there's some devices where there's a very clear predicate and it's at a low level of surveillance and there's not a lot of testing that's required and that's fairly quick to market. And then
mm-hmm.
there are other things, somebody brings in something that's completely new, where there is no clear predicate, and then that is a very arduous, very expensive. You could easily spend $500,000 just on the regulatory side, to say nothing of the tooling and the prototypes and the parts and all that kind of stuff. So,
And to be honest with you, you guys starting out wanting to hit the ground running,
yeah,
you don't want to even mess with that.
right.
You're about, you
Right.
don't want to mess with a new startup company with a new startup device.
Yeah, I got you. So that was going to be my next question. So when I think about, specific targets that we'll provide for the sales team, give me the categories there. I'm thinking maybe R&D at a university level, maybe one area, but give me the specific areas of where we'll find those targets that wouldn't be necessarily a sole proprietor with an idea.
Well, you had mentioned Cardinal earlier, and
Yep.
frankly, we have not had a ton of success with the big